I want to talk to you about how 10C, Project 10C, the review project in this chapter, uses the same exact principles for getting a dbase function as I've shown you before. It uses the three arguments, the database, it uses the field, and then it uses criteria. But here's what it looks like the way that the book tells you to do it. If we look at the formula, it's saying equals d average. And then here's the database. That's lighting up A3 to F26. Then there's a comma. The field is hourly wage. And then there's a comma. And the criteria is in C28 to C29. They're right here. Let me point those out to you now. This is the criteria they're using. The name of the field and the criteria underneath together. So it's just as we talked about before. The only difference is that in this scenario in the book, they don't teach you to name things. So I want to encourage you to, you can do it exactly as the book shows you, and students take a lot of comfort in doing things exactly as the book shows you, but I also would like to encourage you to do it my way. I'm going to get rid of this formula here, and I'm going to remind you about naming things automatically and also naming the whole database. So if I select the entire database that we're going to use here and just name it database, and if I select this formula, sorry, not formula, criteria, these two cells, and name it P criteria, that's for phlebotomist criteria. I don't know if you know a phlebotomist is somebody who draws blood in a lab. And so I'm going to press enter to lock in that name. And so I've got two things named there, and I have the field available. I'll just click on it. So now let's look at getting an average of the hourly wage for phlebotomists by using the named ranges the way I showed you in my previous video. So let's try equals d average. I'm going to lock it in. I'm going to type database, lock it in. I'm going to click on the field hourly wage because that's the thing I want the average of. Lock it in, and I'm going to type P criteria because that's what I named my criteria range. And you can see that the formula is a lot more comprehensible. It's three arguments. What database are you using? Which field do you want me to do the function to? And then where's the criteria? And I'm going to press enter, and as you can see, I get the exact same answer as with unnamed fields. But when a formula uses named ranges, it's ever so much easier to get your head around. So I really encourage you to use that as an efficient way in your real life to name your database. Here's another one. It's naming the database. It's naming the wage per shift field. That's over here. And it is got a criteria. Now this criteria area is two fields and two different sets of criteria. The field is that it would involve a status of lab technician and anything over 0 hours per shift, looking for the wage per shift for lab technicians. And this is a total wages per shift. So they're using a DSUM. They don't want to add in any of the microbiologist wages. They don't want to add in phlebotomist wages this time, only wages for lab technicians. And that's why the status has to be lab technician criteria. And the hours per wage, they want to say over 0 because they don't want to add in zeros. It wouldn't make much sense anyway. Okay, so what if we renamed this criteria area to lab tech criteria? And then what if we renamed the database? Well, we already did. And now we're sort of ready to do this one again too. This is going to be a DSUM and then database. And notice that I don't even have to think about it because the prompts are telling me exactly what I need. I'm using the tab to lock it in, putting a comma to say I'm ready for the next argument. I'm just going to click on the field, wage per shift, and comma. And my criteria I called lab something, and I don't even have to really remember much of it because you can see it pop up below, and I'm just going to press tab to lock it in, and there we go. So doing DBase functions, really, really simple. Much more simple if you name your ranges and you get yourself all ready to do it properly.